The Elder Scrolls lore. The Dawn Era. Hi, my name is Crazy James, and today we are going to be taking a look at the lore. This is going to be a video part series, and I have decided that it'd be a pretty cool thing to do to just take a look at the lore in great detail and to go piece by piece and to really just dive in and clear up a lot of misconceptions, as well as just to tell the lore really like it is. I'm gonna be honest with you, a lot, and I mean a lot of people write their own fan lore. They don't typically outright say it's fandom, which honestly I believe is a disservice to the content. But a lot of people fill in the blanks, is what I'm trying to say. This series, however, will not have any blank filling, and if I theorize, I'll straight up tell you that it's just my personal theory. And if you enjoy the video, make sure you hit that thumbs up, comment down below what you think, and subscribe if you want to see more. I'm trying to hit 100 subscribers by the end of the year, and I thank you all for your support. Now, enough blabbering. Without any further ado, let's jump right in. Now, before I go into great detail about the very beginning, I want to first talk about the religions of the Elder Scrolls. And I say religions as in plural, because there is more than one religion in the Elder Scrolls series. Whether Bethesda would like you to believe or not. Pretty much every race has their own pantheon, and they all have many different deities, but there are similarities. No matter how drastically different they are, they all seem to agree that in the beginning of the universe was made by the result of the primordial entities, chaos. And then from chaos came Anu and Padme. And then from Anu and Padme came all of the other spirits that we know of, like the Daedra and Aedra and all that. Now, in terms of which pantheon of gods came first, from my research, no one really knows. Some say elven gods, some say Nord gods, others even say Khajiit gods. The jury is out on which pantheon is the true quote-unquote gods of the Elder Scrolls. We do know by the games that obviously they exist. We just don't know which pantheon directly came first. However, I do have a theory about the pantheons and why they're so drastically different, but at the same time share similarities in the beginning and also in terms of the gods themselves. Let me explain. You see, all the different pantheons have 8 main gods. These gods all share a similarity of what they're a god over. You have the god of time, nature, virtue, war, magic, death, life, and wealth. These tenets are the one similarity that all the pantheons share, regardless of which pantheon they are. So I theorize that they are only 8 true gods, quote unquote, and the different cultures of Tamriel just described them differently depending on their own experiences dealing with these gods. And they tried to rationalize these spirits into something that their people could understand. And that's why the Khajiit gods and Elven gods, Nord gods, Redguard gods, like all of these different gods are different, but they share the similar domain, like the domain of time, nature, and all that. They share those similarities. It's not different gods. It's the same god, just depicted in a different way. Or at least that's my theory on why the pantheons are so drastically different. But in terms of official source, no one really knows which one came first. But that's my theory, that none of them came first, and it was just their own race's rationalities and culture's rationalities of what these deities were. Now, you might be asking, how did the mortals come about? Well, let me put it this way. There was one spirit that wanted to create a plane of their own, something new. And this spirit asked the other spirits if they could help him, and they agreed. Not knowing that behind the scenes, in order to fuel this creation, their powers would be drained in order to make this new creation. Many spirits left before the creation of this plane was completed, because they were able to tell that their divine powers were being drained in order to turn this plane into Nirn, which eventually does happen. They was able to keep most of their powers, the spirits that made it out. However, the ones that stayed, and the one that convinced the spirits to help him, this spirit is best known as Lorcan, the trickster god. And the spirits that were too weak to escape, these are the 8 divines that we know in the games. And these 8 divines, they just ripped him apart and threw his heart into Nirn, his own creation, as his self-made prison, as punishment for tricking them. So, eventually, these spirits became mortals themselves, their divine powers being almost completely drained when Nirn was finished, and they, in a sense, became the very bones of the planet of Nirn. They're essentially mortals. But not only are they mortal, their children would become the mortals of Tamriel. Yes, that means exactly what it sounds. All mortals on Nirn are actually the descendants of the 8 gods, which is why, for example, the Ultimer called the gods Aedra, which means in their tongue, our ancestors. Sadly, only the High Elves can really remember the Dawn era, which is why they are at war with the Empire, is because they view themselves as the true worthy rulers of Tamriel, because all the other races forgot about their whole thing that they used to be essentially gods. This is also why mortals in general gain abilities for worshiping the gods. It's because they are essentially worshiping the memories of when they were spirits, which is why Aedra require mortal champions. They physically can't do anything themselves anymore without help, because their bodies, their physical form, is essentially gone. However, as I'm about to explain once we get past the Daedra, that's not really that big of a problem, and you'll see why. Now, the Daedra, meaning not our ancestors in Elvish, they are the spirits that did not take part in the creation of Nirn at all. And because of that, they retained all of their powers, which is why Daedra appears stronger than Aedra, and why a lot of people worship Daedra versus Aedra, because they view the Daedra as really, really powerful beings, which they are, and they're worthy of worship because of it. And this is why the Daedra appears stronger than the Aedra. However, it is important to note that the reason why the Aedra can banish a Daedra back into oblivion is because of their direct connection to Nirn. The mortal plane is their domain, and the rule of thumb for gods, good or evil, is that as long as you're in your own plane of existence, you have all of your own power. However, if you leave your plane, then your power is halved in exchange for traveling into that plane. That is not your domain. So likewise, if an Aedra was to visit Oblivion, their powers would be halved as well, and then they would appear weaker than the Daedra. Kind of how like in Oblivion, where Marin's Dagon, he manifested in Tamriel, he was so weak, is because his powers were halved. Why is their powers halved? Well, let me just put it to you this way. The planes for Aedra and Daedra are literally an extension of their selves. What we perceive as them is just their physical form. So, for example, when a Daedra leaves their own plane of existence, they are essentially tearing themselves in two, leaving their spirit behind in their domain as their physical body visits the plane that they're going to. Now, the big question. Can Aedra and Daedra die? Yes, they can. If they are slain in their domain, that part of them essentially just is gone. And they have to reform themselves after a time. This is why typically Daedra are viewed as truly immortal, because even if they are slain in their own plane, they can just make a new body. Unless their spirit is also destroyed, then they truly do die. Same thing for an Aedra. Their physical body might have withered away, but since, like we just established, the domain is just an extension of themselves, their spirit is not gone, even if their bodies are gone. Even though the Aedra, their physical bodies, are dead, that doesn't mean they are not still around. Like I've established, their spirits are very much still there. So the very air our characters breathe, the very ground they walk on, just remember, that's your ancestor, or gods your character worships. Thank you all so much for watching. I typically don't do scripts, but I chose to do it for this one just because there is a lot to unpack about the Elder Scrolls lore as a whole, and I tried to make it in a more streamlined, clear format to just convey the bare essentials of why these Aedra and Daedra act the way they do and how Nirn was even created in the first place. Which I hope you enjoy. Like I said in the beginning, make sure you hit that thumbs up if you like it, comment down below, good or bad, and subscribe if you want to see more. We're going to try to hit 100 subscribers by the end of 2024. I have a good feeling that we will make it. Again, thank you all so very much. And I'm going to do my best to upload regularly, at least once or twice a week. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace out, and have a very wonderful, blessed day.